Good afternoon. I'm Mark Allen with Caper.io, and I'm here today with Joe Martin, the CEO of Martin Creative. Good afternoon, Joe. How you doing?
I'm doing good, Mark, because I'm here with you. This is nice. We get to share this time together.
This is nice. It's fun. I've done a lot of these podcasts, and they're always enjoyable. I always meet really nice people, which is great. So, so to start with, can you share a brief background of yourself and your work experience?
Sure. I run a digital agency in Chicago. I started off, I was actually in a band. That was my first step into business, that I had a band that toured across the US. And then when the band fell apart, I realized in all that time, I learned how to build a website. So maybe I can do websites. And then taught myself how to code, went to school for design,
Wow.
graduated with a degree in design from the Art Institute, and then started up an agency.
Cool. So I assume the band was not Chicago, since that's where you're from.
Nope, not the name.
Yeah, that was actually one of my favorite groups. So then tell us about Martin Creative. What is it you offer to your clients? Who's your typical client, your target audience, all that stuff?
A focus on marketing, but it's this overall strategy piece that I think marketing's changed, especially since COVID.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm done with the old ways that I think a lot of people, we've carried over this ad age mentality of, I'm going to drive 10,000 people to your site, and yeah, 3 of them are going to turn into new clients.
Mm-hmm.
What, 6 new clients? We better drive 20,000 people to your site. And that they make it just this numbers game, and that
Mm-hmm.
the internet allowed you to play this larger numbers game where then you're just getting interrupted by other people's ads that you don't care about.
Mm-hmm.
We help companies figure out just who is that one target customer that you're going after. That I would rather see 100 people come into contact with something, 37 of them join your mailing list, 18 of them attend some cool live event thing you put on to help out in their community. 2 of them became new customers, but 20 of them became really good referrals. Like,
Mm-hmm.
let's operate that way. And so I think that's the fundamental shift that we're trying to help companies take.
So it sounds like it's a more focused form of marketing. Is that a good way to say it? And a more targeted?
It is. And it's scary because so many companies are so scared to say, well, this is the one person I work with,
Mm-hmm.
that they think they're going to push off other people and say, I don't. And it's like, no. They're still going to work with you. And I compare it back a lot of times to a love song,
Mm-hmm.
that Adele didn't write a love song for a million people. She wrote it for one person, but
Mm-hmm.
a million people still hear it and connect with it. And so
Mm-hmm.
how do I help you do that with your marketing? How do I help you make it so specific for one person that
Wow.
other people hear and
That,
connect?
that is an interesting way to look at it. I've done marketing in my life, and I've never heard anybody talk about it. And you're right. It's pay per click. It's eyeballs to your site, and and how many of those eyeballs are only on it for 2 seconds, right?
Yeah. We're done with those methods. We're done with those tactics. Everything is trending towards personalization. I
Mm-hmm.
think the future of work is customer service. How cool is that going to be, that people are going to get paid just for being a decent human being to someone else?
That is
Oh, wait.
I'm looking forward to that. So you said COVID has changed it in what I mean, because one of the things that happened when COVID first hit, and it's almost a year now, is almost everything went digital at first, correct?
Yeah.
Right. And so but you look at it differently. So did it really have an effect on your business model, or did you pretty much stay the same?
No, it had a real big effect.
Okay.
Uh, so I've spent the last 10 years in tourism,
Mm,
and we focused on tourism marketing for a while. We'd built a product in the tourism space that was then
mm.
acquired 6 months after we launched. And I did some time. And so before COVID hit, I was actually working on building out another software with a company in Australia. It was a multi-million-dollar deal that was in talks. And then COVID hit, and
Wow.
the deal just disappeared.
Yeah. I
So we
mean,
had to reinvent.
tourism is actually one of the few businesses that they don't actually think is going to actually pick up for another 6 months at least, or maybe a year.
Oh,
Correct?
it's
Hate to
so
say
sad.
that.
So many friends in all these tourism businesses, that it's been so hard to watch them go through this, but
Mm.
they're resilient. So many of them have found new ways to bounce back, new things to sell, new ways to add value. Super proud of what I've seen.
Yeah, I actually have a good friend too in tourism, and she has also pivoted, and she's doing okay, right? But that's I
Had
think
to. They
that's
had to.
Yeah, I think that's a tribute to most people in general. They figure it out, right? Eventually.
Hmm.
Yeah, interesting. So now going forward, now I'm assuming when COVID hit, you went 100% remote, right? And I'm assuming
We were all,
you already were
we
remote.
we already were 100% remote. Yeah.
Oh, so in that respect, it didn't have a big effect on you?
No, and we've been so we work a little differently as well.
Hmm.
For the past 5 years, my team and I work for 6 weeks, and then we take off for 2 weeks. It's been a hellish process to figure out and try to do,
Hmm.
but we've gotten it into a spot now where it really works well, and it helps us that we're always reevaluating every cycle. When it's over, we look back, what went well, what didn't go well, what do we need to change, and it's kept the culture alive.
Interesting. And do you squeeze 8 weeks of work into 6 weeks, or you just work, you know, at a good pace for 6 weeks?
You got it. Good pace. Good pace. It's not a 6 week sprint. Some people call it a sprint, which,
Hmm.
God, that sounds exhausting. I
Hmm.
don't, I don't want to sprint for 2 weeks, let alone
Hmm.
6 weeks.
Yes.
It's just it's so much of it is the planning of just
Yeah.
everyone on our team knows exactly what needs to be done for the next 6 weeks. The expectations are clear. No other projects are allowed to come in once we're on a cycle as well.
Mm.
You're not allowed to derail us. That's what I think holds back so many companies.
Yeah.
Just as you get a little bit of steam, someone else comes in. You
Hmm.
get going, someone else comes in, and then you're fighting to pay off 2 projects ago with the new project, and it's this vicious cycle.
I mean, and I have to tell you, I've been in business for many years, and the amount of discipline it takes for you to do that, it's got to be really hard, right?
It's taken over 5 years.
Yeah.
So
And I assume you have salespeople, right?
we're doing it internally right now. So
Oh,
it's
really?
myself and my team. We
Okay.
use a lot of email marketing, and
Yeah.
we apply the same technique. So we have good mailing lists that we
Yeah. Okay.
nurture and value too.
Because I've been in technical sales, and salespeople always have that. If you just do this one thing for the customer, they're gonna sign. So it helps that you don't have people always asking you to do something that you don't quite have yet. So I commend you on that. That is great discipline. That is very rarely seen in business.
Thank you. We
And I
try.
would assume you have happier employees because of that.
Uh, so one of my so everyone comes in on a contract basis first
Hmm.
for a handful of cycles before we kind of move them into a full-time position.
Hmm.
So right now there's 3 full-time. We got about 11 contractors.
Hmm.
One of my contractors yesterday told me how he's like, I don't want to work anywhere else. He's like, I found a company that I believe in what they're doing. I
Hmm.
really appreciate the change they're trying to make. And it's a company that's flexible enough to let me get my stuff done and live my life. And I was
Cool.
like, holy shit,
That
that's what that's what I've been trying to tell people to go after.
Yeah, I actually might talk to my bosses about that. um, and the other thing, I mean, I did some quick math, and 8 doesn't go into 52 evenly, so you're not seasonal either, right?
Nope. And there's a couple of them that are a little bit longer on the breaks. So we do a 3 week break in July.
Hmm.
And then at the end of the year, we do a 7 week cycle because of
Oh,
Thanksgiving. So,
wow,
and then
that's
we
great.
balance it all out. And it's really just knowing that one question that every organization has that very few people can answer is what's going on.
Hmm.
Like that's what we try to solve going into a cycle. Everyone knows what's going on. We know that in week 4 on Thursday, we're going to meet about this design, and then this needs to happen because of it.
Wow.
We play through it all to make sure it goes well, and then it makes it easier to work remote.
Wow. And you said, I mean, I did quick math there. I think it's how you have somewhere in the teens number of employees slash contractors. Are they scattered all throughout the United States or world?
Throughout the world, yeah.
Really?
So
And wow. And doesn't sound like communication is a problem.
no. We do at the beginning of every cycle, we kind of kick it off with like an overview of, hey everyone, here's what we're working on this cycle, here's all the current clients, here's new stuff you need to know. And then every Friday we have this checkout meeting.
Mm.
And if companies didn't do 6 and 2, I hope they would only do this one meeting, which is just sitting down with 3 to 5 team members. You spend 2 minutes in silence, let everyone write down what went well that week,
Mhm.
and then share it, and then do the opposite. 2 minutes, what didn't go well, share that. And I learned so much about my employees and the projects. Like
Mm.
it's all the important information I need to hear about what's impacting your performance and what are you proud of.
And it takes like 10 minutes most, right? Tops.
We go an hour,
Oh,
four
okay.
four people in an hour is usually a
Okay.
good amount of time.
Cool. And I have to ask you, what
So,
week in the cycle are you in right now?
this is off week 2, so the cycle
Ah,
starts on Monday, which is
oh,
why I pushed this interview back a handful of weeks and
mhm.
didn't schedule it on the cycle.
Well, very good. And so I have to ask you, since you've been 100% remote, and I'm sure a fair number of your customers are brick and mortar, or they, right? What do you see as the future of remote work? And I mean, obviously, I'm assuming you're going to stay as a remote company, right?
Yep.
But
Yeah,
in
we are.
general, where do you think it's going?
Workplace optional,
Mm-hmm.
more intentionality of when you need to interact with other people.
Yeah.
The workplace is just taking advantage of your time for way too long. That
Mm-hmm.
they want to have you there in case they need something without understanding what you actually need to do,
Yeah.
which creates this perpetual cycle of sitting and waiting and never knowing what's happening. I think
Mm-hmm.
when more companies start to map out, here's what you need to do, someone can do those things and say these magic words, I'm done.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, give them that.
And and I mean, I'm assuming that your employees and contractors have some leeway, and they don't always have to start at 8 a.m. They know their deadlines, and as long as they're done by their deadline, they're good, right?
They know the meetings, all the meetings are planned at the beginning of a cycle.
Mm-hmm.
We're not trying to spring a meeting on someone or a meeting on someone last minute.
Mm-hmm.
Just we
Happens all the time. Wow. So I have to ask you, I mean, since you deal with good sized companies, do any of the companies of your customers say, hey, we're going to adopt your methods?
They're working their way into it.
Mm-hmm.
That we're trying to help them work that way more as we go on. So we're kind of leading by example.
Yeah.
So even our clients now that we finished that cycle close about a week and a half ago and told them we'll talk to you in 2 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
We give us some time. We need to plan, let us get everything set, and then we'll come back to you with the strategy for the next cycle.
Wow. Cool.
It's working well. We're encouraging them to take a break at that time,
Mm-hmm.
and then pushing them to even start looking ahead of saying, hey, here's what we're doing for the next 6 weeks. What are you working on?
Yeah.
What are you planning
Cool.
to get done?
And I would imagine you don't just all of a sudden go from the typical work week to what you do. It would probably take a number of cycles to really get it down, correct?
Absolutely. I'm
Yeah.
trying to help with that. So on 6weekcycles.com, there's a free virtual coach sign up.
Hmm.
Get emails from me for 6 weeks, nudging you along just a little bit of just here's some of the small things you need to start doing to work this way.
So that was 6weekcycle.com?
6weekcycles.com. Yep.
6 week cycles. So, and then is it six spelled out, or is it the number?
The number.
Okay, cool.
Or both. They'll both get you there.
Okay, cool. I'll have to check it out. Well, Joe, it's been fascinating talking to you. I have a feeling if anybody that listens to this is going to go to that site and hopefully start to implement this themselves.
I hope so. We need it. I think we need more time to live life and raise children and
Yeah,
do the things that matter instead of just being expected to show up in an office 9 to 5. Those
yeah,
days are done as well. They're done, Mark.
yeah. Well, great. And or show up on Zoom 9 to 5. That's what it is now, right?
Well, even more exhausting.
Yes, it is. Well, so again, thank you very much for your time, and enjoy the rest of your week. And and I'm sure you'll enjoy next Monday too when you start up again, right?
Appreciate it, Mark. Thank you.
Bye.